Hello everyone, welcome back to A Bodery. Today I'm bringing you a DIY idea. I shared this on my Instagram a few weeks ago now and people absolutely loved it. Personally, it's one of my favourite things I've ever done because it's a upcycle, so you're turning something old into something new. It's baby clothes, which everyone loves because they're cute, and it's also super easy, so if you're new to sewing then this is still something that I think you could achieve quite easily. So what is it? It is to turn an old man's shirt into a baby romper. This is, like I said, super easy, very satisfying because the end result is perfect for a little one, and excellent particularly for if you want to create outfits for them to be running around in the garden that you're not particularly worried about them getting dirty. So today I'm going to take you through making this one, which I actually made for my little boy. So this is slightly bigger, he's 3.5. So just to show you a large, or I think this might have been a medium actually, a medium's men's shirt can turn into a romper for a 3-year-old, and then I also made ones for my 18-month-old, which you can find on my Instagram. I'll just put a little insert here so that you can get a sneak preview of that. So without further ado, let's go into the tutorial. So we're going to start by making a pattern. You can use a shop bought pattern and I'll put some suggestions down in the description box, but I'm also going to walk you through making your own because it's a lot easier than you might think. So start with a comfy outfit that fits your little one really well and start by drawing roughly around it with a pencil. Once you've drawn all the way around it, then you can go back in and neaten up the lines using a curved or a straight ruler, or ideally a pattern master. This funny shaped tool that I'm using is called a pattern master and it's fantastic for drawing all sorts of curves and straight lines. Once you're happy with the shape and size, then you can go back in and add 1 centimetre seam allowance along all the edges that will have a seam. So that's every edge except the line marking the centre front and the neckline. Some bits I'll also just do freehand, like this little part under the arm which I'm rounding off, to make it more of a loose fit. Once you're happy with your pattern, you can cut it out. I actually noticed later on that I didn't mark the inside leg of my pattern, so you'll see me adding that later, but if you're going through this yourself, you probably want to add it now. And don't forget to mark on the size of your pattern in case you come to reuse it later. Once that's done, you can take your shirt and lay it out nice and flat, and then you want to start by cutting your side seams and then just cut up the side of the arms as far as you think you'll need to fit your pattern. You might even want to lay your pattern on top at this stage. So I'm just cutting off the arms about 1/3 of the way down because I know that's roughly how much I'll need. You also want to cut along the shoulder seams, but make sure you stop before you hit the collar stand. So we don't want to cut right the way through that yet until we're sure that we're going to get it even on both sides. So I will come on to that later. Then you also want to cut off the collar, so get it as close as possible to the collar stand whilst obviously not actually cutting into the collar stand itself. That's going to give you a really nice neat finish at the top. Once you've cut the shirt in half, you can sort of split the two halves. So here I'm just laying out the front, and then I want to fold it in half, and then, like I said earlier, I'm going to go back in and just cut that collar stand in half to make sure that it's actually on the centre of the neckline. I hope that makes sense. Then you can add your pattern onto the top. Now the really important thing here is to make sure that the center front of the pattern lines up with the middle of the row of buttons down the front of the shirt. It's a little bit fiddly, so if you don't get it perfect, then I wouldn't worry too much. You also want to line up the neckline on your pattern with the bottom of the collar stand on the shirt. So that's just going to give you a nice standy-uppy collar on your little one. So pin your pattern to the shirt and then take your scissors and cut that out. And this was the point where I realised that I had stupidly forgotten to mark the inside leg on the pattern. So now I'm going to show you how to mark that on. But if you have watched this video all the way through and you're doing it for yourself for the first time, then you probably won't make this mistake again. So I'm just going to let you watch it and you can recreate it for yourself. Cutting the inside leg is a little bit fiddly when you've got that button stand in the middle, so you might find it helpful to neaten it up once you've folded the shirt out flat. And then once you've done that, you can repeat the whole process for the back of the shirt. So you should have two pieces that match up roughly and we're now at the stage where we can start sewing. So you want to sew up the side seams, the underarms and the shoulder seams. And the shoulder seams in particular, I used a flat felled seam. If you don't know what that is, then I will leave a link below to a video that will show you how to do it. Now I'm moving on to the inside leg, and what I'm doing is measuring from the inside up to about a third of the way down the leg. And you want to make a note of that measurement because it's going to tell us roughly the measurements for this piece that I'm now marking out onto a piece of tissue paper. So you just want to draw a straight line and then mark another line perpendicular to it, and then you're going to aim to get a curve that is the same length as that piece you just measured. You don't need to be perfect with this, you just need to get a rough almond shape that's about 10 centimeters at its widest point in one direction, and then a quarter of the curve is matching that measurement that you measured on your inside leg. The first time I did this, I just eyeballed it and that worked absolutely fine. So if you don't want to do the measurements, then that is absolutely fine. But if you do, then this is how you would do it. So I just fold that into four so that I've got a symmetrical piece 4 ways, and then I'll just cut it out by folding it into 4. Should look something like this. Then you want to pin that to your fabric and cut it out with 1 centimeter seam allowance. And here's probably the trickiest part of the whole project. So first of all, take your almond piece and fold it in half with the across the shortest length. And then you want to take that center marking and pin that right sides together with the exact center of your inside leg. And then you want to match the two curves together. So the curve of the almond piece needs to match the inside leg curve. This is a bit fiddly because you're matching a sort of outside curve with an inside curve, but if you just go slowly and make sure you're not stretching either of the fabrics, it should come out absolutely fine. So I just repeat that, working all the way down, and then I'll do the same on the other side. And once you've pinned that, it should look a little bit like this. That's it folded open, and then what it will look like on the inside. And you'd sew that all the way down one side and then repeat it on the other side, and then sew up the inside legs as well. Now at this point my front and backs are a bit wonky, so I just evened them up. And you can really do anything you want to finish these at the bottom. On some versions I've just folded up the bottoms because I don't really mind if they get a little bit frayed, and on others I've just done a simple hem where I just turn the bottom up once or twice and then stitch it in place. So that's it. I hope that was a helpful video for you. If you would like more ideas for similar upcycling projects, DIY, sewing and general natural sustainable living, then please do subscribe to my channel, and in the meantime I will see you all next time. Bye!